The market is doing fantastic. We're really like, what? And this video is about 150K is FUD. Let's get into that. I will try to open every video with nonsense like this, by the way. 104K. So it just got announced that the tariffs for the next 90 days are getting like a lot better from both China and the US. And the market responds pretty well to that. Not something very huge. Then again, it is, in my opinion, pretty huge that Bitcoin just had much resistance, actually, right? We had the bull market support band. We had this whole area of 93 up till, let's say, 95K as resistance. We had this, 100K, which was, in my opinion, the last piece of resistance. And Bitcoin was more like, okay, you know what? We take that resistance, we smash through it, we use it as support, and we just go on. Right, that's great. But the altcoin market is doing even better. And this video, again, this is about the fact that I think that 150K for Bitcoin this cycle is a very bad case scenario. And I want to go over why exactly. So welcome to the FOMO Factory. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the bell notification on, and also let's take a look what that means for altcoins, of course, because 150K Bitcoin is 50% up from here. Youpie-doo. Well, we already see how alts are doing when Bitcoin is having this move, right? Bitcoin is going up. In the meantime, Bitcoin dominance is going down. Ethereum was mainly outperforming in these last couple of days. But now altcoins are having a small pump against Ether as well. By the way, holding this trend line very well. So there's the altcoin market against Ethereum, right? And overall, altcoins are outperforming Ethereum. But at a certain point, I think they will go down against ETH. And that sounds like altcoins down. Could also mean that ETH just goes up harder than alts are going up, while alts are also going up hard, right? But this is not a small level, right? The last time we were here, and the only time actually ever, was in April 2021. When was that? Bull market, right? So that's definitely not a bad thing to consider. Now, another very bullish sign is Capo's being bearish, right? Now, he says the following, and look, no offense to Capo, but he has been kind of the best counter trade signal ever. His latest couple of posts were pretty well. But now he says a lot of reasons to believe that this was just a strong dead cat bounce as expected. Of course, it's always expected, right? Like if it doesn't play out, then they also didn't expect it for some reason. But he exactly, of course, give zero reasons to believe that. But his main thesis is that we will retrace the complete move and that around 65K is the main support. That basically means bear market. Right? That basically just means bear market. If we go from here to 100 to 60K, I think that if that happens from this point, we can say that the bull market is over. But yeah, he has a lot of reasons. Apparently, he doesn't tell what the reasons are, of course. I see exactly zero reasons. If you look at the news right now, the tariffs news is also getting a lot better right now. Bitcoin responds pretty well to not even good news, but just tempered bad news, actually. We are seasonality wise in a very good stage of the cycle. The higher term time frame momentum indicators are all pointing upside to the upside, and the last time this happened, we were kind of here, we were just breaking out and making that new high, and that's exactly where the hell we are right now as well. And I want to go over my worst case scenario, because I don't think calling from this point to 60K, which is about a 42% decline in the middle of a bull market, as a very realistic scenario. Now, don't get me wrong, anything could happen, but I don't see where that has to come from. Like I said, 150 is FUD, and that could be very good for the altcoin market. Now, Bitcoin is, of course, super strong, well above the bull market support band. institutions have been buying Bitcoin and Ethereum OTC like crazy. So there was a lot of thought first, like, oh, if everybody's buying, why is the chart not going up? Again, because they bought OTC, it's not going on the exchanges, so it doesn't have an immediate price impact. But at a certain point, hey, they will run out of Bitcoin to make these OTC deals. So what happens? They will bid a lot more on exchanges to compensate for that. And that's why you see these big moves happen. And there will be more supply shocks in the near future. And the same goes for Ethereum. Now, Ethereum looks actually really good as it closes above the bull market support band for the first time since, while it was going to the upside in November last year, right? And we were also here above the bull market support band in January, but that was in the middle of a downtrend. We are now in an uptrend. The first close is in, a couple closes will be nice on a weekly basis, but it's a good start, right? Also, if you look at Ethereum weekly stochastic RSI, we are now, compared to the last run-up, here. And that's why Ethereum happened to also have that big candle above the bull market support band. And from that point, depends on where in the candle you take this, because this candle was basically half of the price action of this bull market. Let's say 3K. It ran up to more than $4,000, right? You might feel like, that's just a 25% move. Look, a 25% move for Ethereum from this point is already $3,200. And in my opinion, that's the very beginning, because if you look at the Ethereum dominance, then this is what we see, right? And we spoke about this earlier, but the Ethereum dominance just came from a place where it just went once on a double bottom though. So might it do that? Maybe. But this was basically, if you ever wanted to buy ETH, except for the ICO, that was the best place like ever, right? Price-wise, like you might feel like, it has been lower, right? But if you compare to the rest of the market, hey, here Ethereum was sitting at 7% dominance of a total crypto market. And you have to put it a little in perspective, I think, because there's just more money in the market right now, right? It was sitting at 7% of a market which only had $170 billion. Now it's set at 7% dominance in a market that had like, I said it wrong, by the way, which had $200 billion. But now it's set at 7% in a market that has like $2.5 trillion. So it's very easy. If Ethereum keeps on ranging like this, like it does, right? And it goes back to 20% and it dominates with 20% of a market that has, let's round it up, $3 trillion in it. That's a $600 billion market cap for Ethereum, right? Now, for your information, a $600 billion market cap for Ethereum, let's see where it is right now. It's now sitting at 300, right? So that's already double the amount of the Ethereum price. So that's around $5,000 for one ETH. Assuming that Ethereum does nothing crazy, just ranges, while we take the very bear case scenario that in that whole time, the market actually loses 10%. While the total crypto market is looking extremely bullish, and this is very likely going way higher than $3 trillion. So, therefore, I would say Ethereum 5K, I wouldn't expect much less than that. The altcoin market also closed above the bull market support band. So on Mondays, I just want to do a Monday week update from now on, and Wednesday, maybe live streams, etc. But the altcoin market also closed positively above the bull market support band for the first time since November 2024. And also, if you look at the stochastic RSI on this chart, it's now sitting at the same place as where it was over here, right? And it looks kind of familiar, actually. We had a wick, right? We go up, we grind a little bit, and we have a good couple green candles that take us above the bull market support band. Yeah, it's the same as over here, basically, right? And this was just like not even the breakout phase for altcoins, really, right? From that wick, it went up with 62%, which is fucking funny, by the way, because if you take it from here, it's up basically the same. And only after a couple weeks of consolidation, then the altcoin market had its run, right, of 130 whatever percent, right? And let's say we do go a little lower, test this bull market support band, this diagonal maybe right here, and we then get a move of maybe the same 130%, could take us to new all-time highs very easily, right? And that's not my final target necessarily, right? And it makes sense. I mean, if you look at the USDT dominance, we spoke about this a couple weeks ago already. It's in a downtrend. It's losing steam right now. The horizontal, you know, it goes a little above it, but overall, this is good resistance. And this is just a range, right? And now it's just pointing down. The weekly stochastic is in a downwards trend right now, just like this fall over here. And just like this fall over here. And these were basically the only two big run-ups that we saw, especially in the altcoin market this cycle. And now it's doing exactly the same. And it just lost a bull market support band as well. And if you add USDC to it, you can see that that's kind of the same, except for the diagonal. But this is more clearly a range, right? And for the rest, it's all looking the same. So it shows like, man, people are so eager to deploy USDC, USDT to the market, etc., etc. And yeah, I mean, the dollar is going back up. And if you overlay the altcoin market on the dollar, which it already is. Oh yeah, here we go. Then you can see that the altcoin market is just following the DXY, right? The dollar goes up. The altcoin market goes up, the dollar goes down, the altcoin market goes down. The dollar here went up, right, from that range low to the range high. That was the second leg for the altcoin market, basically. Now, the dollar went even lower, right? So if it now goes back up to the range high, yeah, that's more than a third leg for the altcoin market, easily, right? And what confirms that? Well, the fact that there is a lot of money in the market because Bitcoin is 104K and that money can flow into altcoins because the Bitcoin dominance is turning down right now. It has a pretty decent fall at the moment. Stochastic RSI is going down and the Bitcoin risk levels are higher than what they have been in 5 years. So it all makes too much sense. Now, why is 150K FUD? What is the target that I think we should actually look at? And what could that mean for the altcoin market? Let's do some stupid speculation, but so far it worked, right? So let's go on with that. Why I think that 150K is FUD is because of the following. If you look at the Bitcoin fair value logarithmic regression bands, the fair value is basically saying like, hey, Bitcoin spent so many times, so much time above it, so much time below it, and with that many percent. So that way we know what the fair value for Bitcoin is based on how it moves around these moving average in the complete Bitcoin history, basically. If we look where we are right now, Bitcoin is now just above the lower bound. Right, so it's not at its fair value even yet, right? The fair value at this moment is $126,000. That's the fair value. Okay, that's that mid band, right? This mid band right here. Now, is it possible for Bitcoin to go to its fair value in a bull market? I mean, here you go. Look, I think we can all see what's going on right here. In every single bull market, there's no exception, we go way above it, and not just the fair value, but way above the upper bound, right? Here we went way above it, 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 and in the second leg, even way above it, right? So by looking at this chart, is it so weird to think that we are going at least somewhat above it this time as well? I don't think so, right? You might be thinking like, oh yeah, but we're spending so much time below it. Look, I said before, this cycle looks a lot like 2017 in many different ways. And this is one of them. Because if you look at 2017, when did we break below this whole fair value band? That was at the end of 2014. And when did we finally break above it? That was in end of 2017. So we spent, you know, we didn't go above it for 3 years, right? Now, what's funny, when did we break below this one? It was in May 2022. How long was that ago? 3 years, right? So far, this is the same as 2017. It doesn't have to be the same. It could be that we, it could have been that we broke above it last month. It could be that we break above it in 1 or 2 months. But the fact that we are so far precisely following 2017 based on this, but also multiple things that I've showed before, feel like, ooh, okay, I'm excited, man. I'm really excited about this. So why then is 150K FUD? Well, because of this. Assuming that the cycle lasts until the end of 2025, and that assumption is not just an assumption, it's mostly just based on the seasonality. And I had a lot of people telling me like, nah, it's different. And yeah, I mean, here we are, it's May, and we're still pretty close to all-time highs, if not making new all-time highs maybe soon, right? So there's no reason for me to believe that Bitcoin is going to top out sooner. It could happen, but for now, there's no reason to believe that. So let's say end of 2025, whether it's November, December, whatever. There, at that point, the fair value sits at 150K, right? The fair value, right? So I mean this mid band, $150,000, right? You might be like, oh, yeah, how can it be that high? You have to always realize the dollar is getting worth less. Like, this sounds like a lot. It is a lot, but it doesn't mean as much over here than the crazy predictions over here, right? Because dollar worth less. And yeah, there were crazier predictions over here that came through times 10. So 150K is the fair value. Now, but looking like, for example, the last bull market, what if we topped out the last bull market at the fair value, right? The fair value was sitting at 31K. Well, we topped out at 70. There's more than 2x above the fair value, right? More than 2x above it. And I'm not even talking about this upper band. I'm talking about this mid band, right? So if I look at this, then I can only say like, well, man, even if we just get to the fair value, that would be by far the worst cycle ever. And it could be that this is going to be the worst cycle ever, but this will be by far the worst cycle ever, right? What could also happen, and that's still, it sounds weird, but it's still a bearish case scenario actually, is that we go just to the upper bound, right? End of 2025, depending on when exactly, but that's sitting at 190K, right? Again, Bitcoin always went higher than that as well. Here, 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 and here. Every bull market, every one of them, right? So even that sounds to me like, I don't know. Okay, 190K is nice, and that would be great for alts. But compared to the last cycles, that's fucking bearish, right? So let's say we go 2x, just like the last cycle. This was slightly more than 2x, right? 31 to 70 is 2.3 or whatever. But yet, let's take diminishing returns into account as far as they matter into something like this. Let's say we just go 2x above the fair value. That still would be the worst cycle, but if you want to keep diminishing returns in mind, then that's maybe not really unrealistic. Again, fair value, 155K, right? So that would mean around a $300,000 Bitcoin. $300,000 Bitcoin would be still considered, in my opinion, based on what we see, worst cycle ever. Right now, is that the worst cycle ever based on price as well? I mean, if you look from the absolute bottom for BTC, and you take it to 300K, right? How much percentages is that? It's 1835. Okay, cool. So last cycle was like the smallest one, right? That's always diminishing, of course. That's understandable. Last cycle it was 2100. So it is diminishing, not by a whole lot, but it is still diminishing, right? So that would make sense. Plus, I mean, here Bitcoin was driven mostly by retail and some companies. Here it is driven by the fucking whole stock market, countries, institutions, presidents. I feel like the narrative is like, do you need more narrative? Like, that's all we can ask for, I think. Like, I don't know, next cycle, what the hell are we going to need? And we probably don't need narrative because it's just price appreciation. But man, the narrative like make a lot of sense, right? So yeah, if you ask me like, hey, what's your price prediction? Look, I don't know. I predict that 150k is FUD, that 200k would be a bad scenario, but sounds more against the realistic side. 300k sounds to me like, okay, that seems reasonable. And anything above it is possible, but hopeful. So yeah, that's kind of my view on that. Now, what would that mean for the altcoin market, right? Well, let's first take a look at this. I mean, this is the total crypto market and the fair value. And that's also pretty funny because this includes everything else as well, right? And here you can also see that the fair value, we are currently almost sitting there, right? The fair value is now $3.7 trillion. We are sitting at 3.3, right? So we're kind of there. But also, if you include all these alts, every market, we go not a little above the fair value, but like, come on, guys, way above it, way above it. In so far, in 3 out of the 4 bull markets, we even went to the upper band, 3 out of the 4. Right? The upper band, and this is going to sound fucking ridiculous, but hey, it sounded ridiculous here as well, and it happened. Keep that in mind, right? The upper band by the end of 2025 sitting at $45 trillion. Now, you might feel like, dude, what? But again, that happened 3 out of the 4 times. Right? Here, when we were sitting at, like, let's say 28 billion, yeah, if somebody would have said like, yeah, 28 billion, we're going to 820 billion, bruh, 30x from here, right? You would also be like, dude, what? And it happened, right? It happened 3 times actually. So is it that weird to believe that we're getting a 12x from this point? I'm just saying, right? Like maybe not. I don't know. But hey, let's not act like this is not possible or unrealistic, right? So that would be best case scenario, in my opinion. Like that would really be best case scenario. But let's not throw the best case scenario out of the window, right? Because also it is so far the scenario that always played out. Yeah, if it goes to like, let's say $40 trillion, right? But if we just go to 10, I'm also pretty happy, right? But if we, by the way, that would be really bearish. That would be really, really, really bearish. But let's say we go to 40. Yeah, then it depends, like, what does it mean for alts? Yeah, it depends how much is Bitcoin dominating, right? Let's say that the altcoin market, the other's dominance right now, is sitting at 8.7%, coming off of a pretty decent double bottom right here. Stochastic RSI is pointing to the upside again on the bigger time frames. On the month, it's still down, right? But hey, I mean, it is like, has a lot of room to go up, right? So this is looking pretty decent. But let's say it doesn't go here, right? This is just a range. This above it is alt season, in my opinion. And here is just Bitcoin territory. Let's say it stays within the range of Bitcoin territory and it sits at 10% for easy math. Right? Got it, check. Bear case scenario for the altcoin dominance, right? Like if we just go here, then I feel like, man, what? That's it? Like, okay, cool. Because we are practically already there, right? So that means no alt season at all. So lock that in. And then combine that with the fact that this cycle does what it always have done, at least 3 out of the 4. And the cycle is so far doing what it's always doing. You know, maybe a couple months to the right, some things more to the left, but overall, right? And this goes to 40 trillion, right? That's a realistic case scenario, in my opinion. At least an average case scenario, very average case scenario, combined with a very bearish case scenario. And then the altcoin market sits at $4 trillion. Right? $4 trillion, which is here, by the way. What the fuck? Which is kind of right. Like if you take this top alt season, second top alt season, and if we get there again, it's 3.5. Fair enough. I'll deal with it. I'll drive 3 Lambos instead of 4. Fine, fuck it. I'll take one for the team. Okay. 3.5 trillion. Again, like it's not. I know that there may be some people behind the screen right now and be like, what the fuck, right? But again, you see how I calculate, and I take some pretty actually. Like I'm not taking a single bull case scenario into this math right here, math, whatever you call it, right? I'm taking a bear case scenario combined with something that has played out pretty much every market. That's it, right? $4 trillion. Now you might be like, where's the money coming from? Money printers, right? Money, like, and again, we already see like the total crypto market, you know, what just happened with ETH and alts is nice, but it's not. That's just because the Bitcoin dominance went down a little bit. You see that the overall crypto market in a matter of a few weeks gained $1 trillion. $1 trillion in a fucking week, or in a month, right? Yeah, welcome to bull markets. I mean, if this is how money flows in, hey, we see that's possible, right? So, yeah. If that happens, yeah, $4 trillion market. And would that line up? Probably not. But let's say if the altcoin market stays where it is right now, which I don't think, assume that the Bitcoin dominance also stays at 60%, right? So 60% of 40 trillion is 4 times 6 is 24 trillion for BTC. 24 trillion for BTC. Now that's maybe a little crazy, because that would mean a 12x for Bitcoin from this point, and that puts it slightly higher than 300k, right? So again, I gave 2 examples. They don't line up with each other, right? Or it could be that Bitcoin goes to 300k, but that, you know, the dominance for altcoins go up like it always does, but that would mean a way higher market cap than 4 trillion for the altcoin market. Hey, but again, let's take some bearish case scenarios into account, right? I mean, this is just something that I feel like, hey, this is what always happened. This is what it's doing so far. So let's not ignore the fact that it could keep going, you know, to do what it does. But, you know, bear case scenario, if I have to discuss that real quick. Look, last cycle, with the total crypto market went around... what was it? 5x above the fair value. 5x, right? The fair value was sitting at 720 billion. We went to 3 trillion. I don't know, that's exactly 5x, but give or take 6x actually. Let's say we just make it 2 this time. Like, that's really fucking diminishing, right? That's really diminishing. So that's a real bad case scenario in my opinion. But 2x above the fair value this time. Yeah, by the end of the year, the fair value sits at $5 trillion. Yeah, times 2 is $10 trillion, right? $10 trillion is a bear case scenario based on what I was looking at least, and the way I read it. yeah, if we then for the altcoin market just stay here, so bear case scenario plus another bear case scenario combined, then it would mean that the altcoin market goes to $1 trillion, right? So that will be here, right? That's 2x, but like that's still for the alt market, that's insane. But you do have to realize how easy it is to pump such a low liquidity market, right? We have seen it, how easily, like XRP is so high cap, and look how easily it gained 5x, 6x that market cap within 3 weeks. Yeah, it should not be that hard to do that with some other coins as well, right? This is a multi-$100 billion market cap coin. Yeah, I mean, if you invest in like, man, and again, maybe it's all going to shit. Maybe there will be a Fed recession. Maybe Trump gets shot. Maybe China is doing some weird shit. Maybe Ukraine and Russia go to a real like world war. What kind of black swan or whatever it may be. My point is that anything could always happen at every single time, right? But if you would count on a black swan, which is fucking stupid because the definition of a black swan is that something happens that you totally don't expect. And therefore, I also love what Capo is saying, because he said right here, I'm taking profits in preparation for a potential black swan. Preparing for a black swan. Like, oh yeah, nice. That takes away the whole definition in the first place. But I get what he means. But that could always happen. Assuming that doesn't happen, which basically like it happened once, like, but let's not assume that it will happen. Yeah, then I don't see much reasons why the market cannot go up really hard. Again, you have to realize the total crypto market is already above its 2021 highs. And that's where we had a fat alt season, right? So this was more than enough money to blow up alts like crazy. We now have more money already, right? We already have enough. So it doesn't matter if people like if money comes from the outside or the money printers get turned on or whatever. It does matter, but we don't need it. The only thing we need is the money to just flow around a little bit. That's already here, right? That's it. Yeah, let it be that. That's exactly what's happening right now, right? Again, USDT is where a lot of money is sitting. It's getting deployed, losing all kind of like support that it had, right? The Bitcoin dominance. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to keep on showing that, but that chart is the most bearish looking chart in whole crypto right now. Right? The Ethereum dominance, again, it came from a level where the last time it came from this level, it went from $150 to $5K. Right? That was more than a 30x. I'm not saying that Ethereum will 30x right now, but in ratio compared to how much money is sitting in the market right now as back to then, it comes from the exact same level. Right? The altcoin market on its Bitcoin pair, like, I mean, it's not like a alt season yet or anything, right? And again, we have already seen multiple alts do 5x's, right? Some exceptions then. But even a render, a very safe, not exciting high cap coin, 50% easy, right? And AVAX also, that's on its Bitcoin pair, by the way. I want to say like render did more than that if everything is correct. Yeah, 2x, right? A Cardano from the lows, but from this move, let's say, is up 3x. Superverse up more than 2x in this latest move, right? AIOZ, I've been selling this lately a little bit because I don't know why I bought it. 3x. Chain GPT, 3x. Put that in perspective. Like, man, you already have 3x's on high caps, While this is what we got on the altcoin market, this little piece of shit right here so far. Right, so I honestly, apart from the fact, you know, with the disclaimer that anything could happen at all times, yada yada, we take that away, like, hey, potential black swan, and purely look at how the cycle behaves, then it is very clear to me that this is nothing yet. This is absolutely nothing yet, right? And yeah, on the bigger time frames, look, can we see a cool off before that move happens? Yeah, I mean, we can. I mean, if you look at the altcoin market on the monthly stochastic RSI, we are now oversold, right? We are now oversold. Yeah, just like we were. Let me get that out of the way. Just like we were over here, where the purple is now, look, it's now flipping to the upside, right? So that's the same point as where it was. Here it flipped to the upside at this point over here. Right now, don't get scared. If we go back to the chart, it was here, right? This, yeah. And again, this was bear market. This is a bull market, and overall, this went down, went up. It's kind of sideways, right? But that had to happen for this thing to reset in order for the altcoin market to have its like big run up right here. And we're now at that point again, right? So, you know, I always said like this cycle isn't different. This cycle isn't different. And I still think that. However, I do want to mention, if it turns out that this cycle is different, then I think the different thing is that it's all been moved a little to the right, right? Also, if you just look at the whole business cycle, it's been moved a little to the right. If you look at how the Fed is moving with their balance sheet, it's all a little later. Right? And that was the big disappointment for people or whatever. Therefore, we get these capitulations. And yeah, that's what you want to buy. I tweeted and I made these videos on the 7th of April. It was this freaking wick right here. I said, this is the perfect fucking moment to buy. Right? And that's not based on, yeah, it's low. We looked at these charts. We were looking like, hey, what is it telling us? This is a big higher time frame reset of every fucking chart that we can find. And in my opinion, it just got started, right? We spoke about it a month ago, right? 1 month ago. But this is a weekly time frame, right? The last time this played out, this took from August 5th of August until December. It took 3 months. 4. Always bad with that. Right, we are now 1 month in. And so I really think it just started. Good corrections in the meantime, sure. I likely even. But overall, we are at the stage of the market now where dips are for buying, right? Here, dips are not for buying, right? There was a downtrend. Fuck that. Right? Here, dips were for buying, but we really didn't get any. But if we do now get it, I think it's for buying. So I want to leave it here, guys. If you like the content, you know, if you want to join a private group, I don't want to shill it to you. I feel like a nasty idiot when I do, but we really have some good shit in there for you. Also, if you just want to call with me, like, hey, dude, can you check out how my portfolios look? Fine. Really. I'll do that. No problem. I want to build a strong community that gets what we are looking at. And maybe in 2 years from now, we'll be like, oh, I was looking at some wrong things as well. I don't know. We'll learn. But this move right here confirmed to me like, damn, we are looking at the right things. And it works. It works really good. The same as over here, right? Been buying this dip. Been buying this dip. And again, I honestly think that this is the beginning. So we'll see, man. We'll see. I hope we're just going to be right about it, because we can make a lot of money in this market. And let's be honest, that's what we're here for. Fuck the tech. So thanks for watching. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the bell notification on, and I'll see you guys in the next one.